Welcome to America project paid him a visit. At that time, he spoke no English. He had no job and little understanding of the American system. Well, today he's here to give you a speech that he wrote himself in English. He is now a full-time student at Phoenix College and an employee of the Welcome to America project. I hope that you will all be as proud and excited to hear this young man speak as I am. So without further ado, Alexis.
Your neighbors are your family. This saying is an old Indian proverb, and I have come to understand that some meaning here in USA, even though you say that your neighbors are your friends. My name is Alexis. I was born in Burundi, where your neighbors truly are your family. They are the first people you can go to in difficult times. Burundi is bordered with Congo, Rwanda, and Tanzania. I am the oldest son of 6 children. I had a happy childhood helping to care for my 4 brothers and 1 sister. My father was a successful man running a fishing business. I remember we had a beautiful home, 3 bedrooms, 2 living rooms, and 2 dining rooms. In our village, all of the boys loved soccer. I remember we would get to school very early so that we could play a few matches left before lessons began. I remember we had everything we needed: food, clothing, and shoes. My parents, their living was very easy. But when I was 13 years old, a war broke out in my beautiful homeland. My parents and I left behind everything we had, all family, friends, and the neighbors we had known my entire life. We fled to Congo. In Congo, we had hoped to return home as soon as possible. This never happened for Burundi. Initially, life was challenging. We did not speak Swahili, and the city life was different from what we had known in my village. But I was able to go to school and quickly adjusted. My father also adjusted quickly, building another fishing business. Because my father was successful once again, we had food, clothing, and shoes. I helped my father on the boat sometimes, working with workers. Because of my schooling, I knew Swahili very well, and I could communicate with the locals. I found that this could be a blessing and a curse. At 15 years old, I did not talk to girls or trying to take them with me. On one occasion, a man that worked with me on my father's boat came to me. "Do you speak Swahili?" he said. I replied that I did. "I want you to help me talk." I did not understand. "I want you to help me talk to local women." I understood. I did not know about women, but I knew my father would not like this. That did not stop me from helping, but we kept this secret from him. I was good at Swahili, and I was not able to help the men to talk to many women. But one day, my father found out he and my mother were very angry. They immediately spoke my allowance. That ended my learning about business. We are just become a doctor one day. But our hope turned a stream of tears when a civil war broke out in the Congo. Once again, we had to leave everything behind us. War stirred continually in Burundi, and so we fled into Tanzania. There were many thousands of us from Burundi. The government hated refugees to stay in the cities, so they chased us out of cities using dogs. They pushed us into the bush and isolated in the barren area. Eventually, the United Nations came to help establish a camp. They provided us food, rations, basic medical assistance, and a shelter. The police of the camp denied refugees the right to move or leave. We lived on the top of each other, and this camp resembled a prison. I don't know how I can make you understand the situation we were in. We often struggled to get enough food to eat. Many people died from simple disease, made worse by poor sanitation. We were out of the war zone, but life in the camp was a daily struggle to stay alive. It took a long time, but the situation became known. At 19 years old, my life would change once again. I became a member of a church where I met a very special woman, a beautiful woman, a motivated woman with the goal to hold up a hope, even in these hard situations. We often struggled to get enough food, and finally the situation became known. And my wife's name is Estelle. I fell in love with her, and we were married. The both of us, we found ourselves challenged. With her help, I resolved to go back to school for my teaching certificate. Finally, I became a teacher, and this made our situation in the camp better than for other people. We had children, and life went on. On one day, representatives from the United States arrived at our camp to talk about the resettlement program. Even though we faced the many physical and psychological challenges in the camp, this gave us hope for a future. There was a long process involving interviews and screenings. The names of those who had been selected were posted in the camp. By the grace of God, I read on the list, Nira, Alexis. All right, wonderful. We are going to America. We were very joyed. Unfortunately, my father, my mother, my brothers, and my sister were not on this list. I had to take a hard decision, taking my wife, my children, and once again to leave behind everything we had, all family, friends, and the neighbors. It took courage, but it was the right decision. It was my first time on an airplane. We boarded with excitement. We were happy to come to America. It would be a wonderful life, safe, easy, and we could be rich. Arriving at our apartment, we had never used a toilet or electricity inside the home. It was all new and exciting. A few days after our arrival, we were awakened to the harsh realities of life in this country. While we were being transported from our agency, one day, a man at a traffic light stood beside the car window, asking us for money. I did not understand him. What he was asking for, until our caseworker translated to us that he was homeless, begging. I never imagined that I would find anyone in America begging for bread while I was experiencing hardships and difficulty in the refugee camp. I worried about what would happen to my wife and the children. Would we become like this man on the street? A few days more, it became lonely. No one would say hello to us. People here were not curious all interested to meet us, refugees. And the camp neighbors were friendly, but we did not find this at the first time. Our excitement in the hope for an easy life here is over. I was confused and lonely. I worried I had made the wrong decision and wanted to go back home. But there was a hope. Our case manager from Catholic Charities told us that the peace was known and that would be helpful for us. On one day, there was a knock on the door. They were men, women, and children from a group they called the Welcome to America Project. They were knocking on our door and they had all kinds of good gifts to assist us. When they came inside, everybody was busy showing us how to wash dishes, use materials, furniture, dishes, pans, and bowls. They taught us how to organize our new cabinets and clean with the sky. The children gave my children toys and they started to play without not knowing our language. It was amazing. I was amazed by the kindness and the warm welcome of these people. I wish everyone in this room could have seen it. Everyone shook our hands and they said hello. The staff and the volunteers of the Welcome to America Project made us suddenly felt that we had a new family in USA. I really cannot express how this made us feel. My great feelings of appreciation to you in this room are great. You have loved us, your neighbor, as you love yourself. Whenever you have given your money, time, or time, you help the people like me and my children. Through Almighty God, through people like you, through groups like Catholic churches, and the Welcome to America Project, I am now ready to have a justice again. I was so motivated by this experience that you showed me to work for this organization. Now I have to welcome my refuge brothers, to encourage them and shake their hands. The mission of this organization is much like the Burundian prophet. Your neighbors are your family. Thank you for helping to be a neighbor and a family to refugees like me. I don't know how to say that meant to us. I hope we will be motivated by my story there, welcome more refugees. Though my wife and I are facing so many psychological and physical issues in our life, we have never given up our hope for a good future. We have 4 children, and the number 5 will be added very soon. And this is my first son, Rodney. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.